Hey guys, Rivers here with Tech Connect. Today I want to take a look at the iPhone 12 Max Pro. It's got a new camera on it that's supposed to be probably one of the best smartphone cameras out today, and I've been using it for the last week or so, and I have to agree, I think it is the best camera phone that I've ever used. It's got a new sensor on it with larger pixels and image stabilization that helps a lot in low light, and I want to compare it to the Sony A7S3. This is also a low light beast. It's got a 12 megapixel sensor with huge pixels, and it's a video centric camera. So I'm gonna compare the video of the iPhone to the A7S III. So let's go ahead and take this out on some low light situations and see how it does. Okay, so I'm editing the footage at night, and first thing I notice is the iPhone looks really good at night. Very nice, probably one of the nicest phones I've ever seen. But then the A7R3 is coming up, and it is just looking just like real life, maybe even better than real life. It just looks so good. All the blacks are nice and dark, no noise at all, so they're both kicking butt so far. Let's continue on. Next scene, we're looking at lighting indoors. And it is very dark in here. There's a couple really dim LEDs on in the kitchen, and that's the only light in the room. Most cameras would just get really grainy, even in the light spots, and the shadows would just be a complete disaster. But surprisingly, the iPhone looks pretty good. Although when you zoom in on it, you can definitely see some noise. And the Sony A7S III is kicking butt, but it's not doing as good in the moving shots because of the stabilization is nowhere near as good as the iPhone. Let's keep on watching. Next, we have the candlelight test, and this is just one candle with the fire going in the background, and there's some LEDs in the kitchen that are faintly lighting the whole area. But you'll notice that they both look really good, but the iPhone, there's this telltale glow around the flame. It's a little bit too bright colored. You see it a lot on smartphones, like on a sunset, and once you see that, you can kind of pick out a smartphone shot all the time. But it still looks really good, but that glow gives it away that it's on a smartphone. The A7S III looks just totally true to real life. It looks amazing. And you can even turn the gain up on the A7S III so that it looks like daylight in there as well. And when you crop into the picture, the iPhone looks really good, but you can see some artifacts, and the A7S III looks even better. It looks just like you zoomed in on a picture, so it's definitely the winner here. Next up, we have the slow motion. On the iPhone, it's 240 frames per second at 1080p, and on the Sony, it's 120 frames per second in full 4K. And the iPhone looked pretty good, but the Sony just looked awesome. Actually, I was surprised that either of them could get enough light, because when you're shooting slow motion, you need a lot more light, and a lot of cameras just get really dark and black when you try to do it. But both of these actually held up, so I'm really impressed. The iPhone's probably the best smartphone I've ever seen in this low a light, and the Sony is the best camera I've ever seen in this low light, other than maybe a cinema camera I saw once at NAB that was like $100,000. So I'm definitely impressed with both. Let's continue on. Now we're looking at some zoomed in footage. Both cameras look really good, but again, Sony is looking better, but the iPhone is doing great for a smartphone. Here we can see the focus of the iPhone. The iPhone is easier to focus because everything is basically in focus, whereas the Sony, you kind of have to choose between the foreground or the background. So the iPhone is easier, but the Sony gives you more control. Alright, this is probably one of the lowest light shots that I took. It's just this plant in a dimly lit alley, and you can see when you zoom in that the picture quality just looks phenomenal on both the iPhone and especially on the Sony. It's really good. So now I'll just show you a couple different clips from different scenes and see if you can tell if they are iPhone or the Sony. I'll have the label pop up halfway through each clip. So again, here's some more low light shots, just walking around in the city lights downtown, and different cameras, both look good. I also wanted to look at walking and shooting video at the same time because that comes in handy all the time. And on this one, the iPhone completely killed it. The stabilization is awesome, and this iPhone 12 Max Pro has a special sensor movement on there also. So not only is it stabilized electronically, which is really good on these phones, but also the sensor itself moves around and it just completely kills. It's right up there with like GoPro and stuff like that. But the Sony is okay. When you're walking, you can definitely see it, even with electronic image stabilization turned on. But I ran it again using Adobe Premiere Warp Stabilizer, and it actually looked really good on the Sony. Probably actually the footage itself looked better just because the image quality is better, and the shakiness was about the same as the iPhone once I ran Warp Stabilizer on there too. So you can make the footage look really good, and I think the quality is still better. So there you have it. The iPhone looks really good in low light, but the Sony A7R3 just destroys pretty much everything. It's so good. It's like the best camera I've ever used. I mean, it's right up there with a lot of cinema cameras, so it's hard to compete with that. I mean, slow motion pretty much, even though it's only 120p at 4K, I thought it looked a lot better. I slowed it down in Premiere and it still looked even better than the iPhone's 240. And then the image quality, of course, looked great. The only place the iPhone really won is stabilization. Stabilization is awesome on the iPhone, way better than the Sony. But, you know, overall, this guy's $4,500 with a lens. This guy was maybe $1,500 because it's the 512 version. Damn, the picture's still pretty good on there. Photos look great too. I'll put a link to this whole setup in the video description down below. But, you know, just for straight up image quality, this guy's awesome. But the iPhone, I mean, you can edit video on this thing, so that's pretty cool too. So anyways, I'll have links to all this little adapter here in the video description down below. And if you like this video and want to see more like it, be sure and subscribe to my channel and hit that like button. That would help me out a ton if you could do that. Thanks for watching, and as always, aloha. Hey guys, thanks for watching the whole video. If you're still around, I want to throw in one bonus piece of footage, and that is the iPhone and the A7R3 in my studio here with lighting on me. So this is how the iPhone up on top and the A7R3 down on the bottom. You can get an idea of what it looks like if you were to do it in a YouTube setting. Hey, one more thing to check out. This is on the iPhone using ProMovie, which is an alternative camera app. It's really cool because it has a bunch of manual adjustments and you can turn the bit rate up really high, so the video quality looks better that way. Also, it's not so compressed, and it really does make a big difference. Hey guys, thanks for watching the whole video. If you're still around, I want to throw in one bonus piece of footage, and that is the iPhone and the A7R3 in my studio here with lighting on me. So this is how the iPhone up on top and the A7R3 down on the bottom. You can get an idea of what it looks like if you were to do it in a YouTube setting. Hey, one more thing to check out. This is on the iPhone using ProMovie, which is an alternative camera app. It's really cool because it has a bunch of manual adjustments and you can turn the bit rate up really high, so the video quality looks better that way. Also, it's not so compressed, and it really does make a big difference.